In this video, you will get advices and tips from these amazing creators.
Like, the person themselves almost become a trend.
And the #1 complaint is always,
what though? And so it's a great title formula.
The other thing you want to check,
ad revenue, the basic.
Another thing that can help you grow really fast on YouTube for an extended period of time. So my big tip,
really passionate about it, then it will be worth it. But if
I used to do this for 3 to 4 hours every single day.
Photo editing software.
As you have in the water, the more likelihood that you will have videos.
So I finally reached 1,000 subscribers and 4,000 watch hours on my second channel of Grid ATEF. I got monetized in less than 2 months, and you can do it too. It's simple, just follow these guidelines and summary in my research, as well as the advices for the creators themselves. Finally, 3 months of research has come to an end. And this is the final summary following my monetization of my channel. In less than 2 months, I was able to monetize my new channel, basically with information that I got from this top 10 creators who have a lot of tips, a lot of ideas, a lot of very, very valuable advices. So in just 2 months, it's actually closer to 1 month, using very valuable advices from these people, these channels, MrBeast, Think Media, VidIQ, and all the rest. I haven't added the 11th one because I just couldn't count him out. Also, even though he's relatively small, although a lot of valuable ideas there. I will give specific summary for how to get 1,000 subscribers, how to get 4,000 watch hours, and therefore get monetized. Very important, extremely important, the thumbnails and title. How to do that. That's extremely important. Views and general tips. You can get the Excel file really easy. Just subscribe to my mailing list. YouTube unlocks for your channel. And of course the summary. And we will also go through each one of those channels with some great ideas provided by each one of them during this summary. Enjoy. And please leave the comments down below. How many subscribers you have now? How much watch time? And if you got monetized, how much time it took you to get monetized?
it's just data.
In general, find something you like, because you have to like it. It's going to take many, 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 many years. Step one, that. Step two, well, I guess, let me digress. It doesn't have to take many years, but it depends. Like, if you're not naturally entertaining, like most people like me, and I'm sure you guys took a while to find your groove, it's going to take a while. There are some people that are just really funny, and like, it comes easy. But, so if you're not doing something that's just inherently fun to you, you're just quit. Just give up. Like, you gotta at least semi-enjoy what you're doing, or you're gonna quit long before it gets to the point where it brings in money or whatever else could be driving you. So find what you love, and then I would just hyper obsess. Make sure no one doing what you're doing is doing it better. Make sure the videos are as good as possible. I mean, there's a million little tips I could give you.
Dude, you've got, I know. You just got a motor that just doesn't stop,
well, like,
man.
one thing is, like, a lot of people, though, they underestimate effort in videos. They think things are a lot more basic than they are, but, like, even if it's, like, halfway in a video, if there's just a 10-second clip that took you, like, 20 hours to film, like, people recognize that. And, like, that is one thing that a lot of people undervalue. Is like viewers aren't stupid. They can tell when you know, half ASS, I don't know if I'm allowed to curse, a video, or if you like
Fuck
really,
shit, bitch.
all right,
Shit,
there you go,
fuck.
half-assed a video, or if you like really put in effort, and like if they can tell you're putting in a lot of effort, they're going to be more likely to click on future videos, and that snowballs. And because once you build that trust, they get to a point where it doesn't matter what you upload. They just know it's high effort, and they just know it's great, and they're just conditioned just to watch because you have a good track record.
Best part about it, bro, Q4 monetization.
There you go. It should last you until the end of the year. That's my
For
prediction.
anyone that doesn't know, this is the best time of year. I mean, it's like Christmas came early in October because around Q4, that's when all the brands are spending their big dollars in marketing budgets, and that's when CPMs on YouTube, and that's where everybody cashes in. So
well, a lot of that correlates because Q4 ad rates are higher because that's when people buy products. So that's when companies also drop their products. So a lot of people share that same experience.
I can't wait.
Like, you're clearly very smart, and I don't think anybody really understands how much diligence and how much work you do behind the scenes, right? Because it's one thing to have a really good idea. Yeah. It's another thing to optimize it to the algorithm for YouTube and really understand the data and your analytics. And so I think for people at home, they get to see this finished product. But in my mind, and something that Jack talks about a lot, I'm curious, how much time when you have an idea till it's executed and uploaded do you spend on everything else except for the actual filming of the video?
Yeah, well, so to unpack that a little bit, yes, we purposely tried to, or I purposely tried to make the videos seem a lot simpler than they are. I think that's part of the coolness of the videos, the mystery. Like, how can I give someone 100 grand? And then just like a lot of people, if they gave away 100 grand, they would make a huge deal about it. But sometimes we're just like, yeah, here's 100 grand. Like, thanks for watching, bye. And I think like doing it that way makes it more fun and just more interesting, especially when we like play it off, or if we go in a store and buy everything in the store and then we're like, yep, we did it. I mean, like, I've been waiting for this day for years. And it doesn't come off the tongue as easy. Your video from 2 weeks ago, the thumbnail's just your face with your hand. I don't really know what you're going for. So just out the bat from the click, as a viewer, I'm not really enticed. I'm more confused, which is something a lot of people mistake. Like, confusion doesn't make people want to click sometimes. Like, people.
See, I always thought that was my claim to fame, but now I think I need to rethink my entire life.
I've heard so many people say that. It's like, so they'll purposely like make a title like a little vague or confusing, and like thinking like, oh, the viewer's going to click to want clarification, but more often than not, they just the video below it is just an accurate, not confusing, good video, and they just fucking click that one. You know what I mean?
What was it that when you were coaching some of these other channels, what were some of the things that you identified as opportunities for improvement?
A lot of it is just like, you can just tell when a video shouldn't go viral. At the beginning of the video, just tell, like, literally the simplest thing, just tell them why they should watch it. If you're putting 1 million Orbeez in a pool, don't start the video with you shopping for, your mom's birthday present. At the beginning of the video, just say, we're going to put 1 million Orbeez in this pool. And then that right there should be at least slightly sufficient.
To help people know what to expect, maybe do a little preview at the front.
Exactly. Yeah. So for most people, it's just that. They're just not hooking viewers, and the video ideas just aren't that entertaining.
Is there anything that you've seen in common to the creators that you've seen to be successful?
No, I mean, YouTube's so big.
So do you think that there's any common misconceptions that creators have about YouTube?
Well, a lot of people blame the algorithm, but typically you can just look at the data and point to it. I mean, I don't really have to dig too deep into that one.
Yeah, so you're known for digging into the data. What are some of the key metrics that you look at?
Well, it's so funny having you ask me this, because I should be asking you. But since I'm the one being interviewed, I mean, when you really boil it down to the people who are watching, just think about it. Like, what do you think YouTube wants? Like, to me, I think YouTube just wants people to click on a video and watch it, right? I mean, that's how they get their ad revenue. That's how they keep viewers happy and stuff like that. I mean, I'm sure comments, like, stuff like that. But at the end of the day, they want you to click, watch the video, click, watch the video, and just do that as long as possible. So to me, what's important is click-through rate, getting people to click on your video, and then average view duration, average view percentage, or just relative retention, and having them watch it. If people are clicking your video more than they click other videos, and they're watching it longer than they watch other videos, as simplistic as that is, that's like what YouTube wants, and I think that's how you just, be successful.
Yeah, so I think you hit it right on in terms of what we look at. Our goals with the algorithm are to try to find videos each viewer is gonna engage with. But then another thing that we've been getting more into is what we call satisfaction, and so this is kind of recognizing the fact that yes, we optimize and try to have watch time as one of the key metrics we look at. Yeah. But we also know that not all watch time is equally valuable to the person watching. You can spend 15 minutes watching something and then feel like, meh, I just kind of wasted my time. I should have gone to bed earlier or did something else. Yeah. Or maybe it was like really inspiring and changes your life somehow. And we want to be able to capture that difference. And so the way we do that is with surveys. So
I knew you were about to say that. Yep.
Yeah. So I would add that to what you're saying beyond like clicking on the video and then watching as much as possible. We also want, if we randomly survey a viewer after they've watched, what would they say? Would they say this is one of the best videos I've ever watched on YouTube, or just kind of average? So I'd encourage creators to think about what's going to be satisfying, not just take the most time. So why don't you tell us a little bit about like your creative process? How does it all start with the MrBeast video?
Well, obviously everything starts with an idea. And for me, I like to make my videos a little longer. So that's a big part of what ideas we do. So we just, the biggest thing is obviously a clickable thumbnail and title, interesting stuff, yada yada, but is it something that people will genuinely want to watch? And this might be a little tangent, but one thing is a lot of creators think click-through rate is just like the title and thumbnail and did they click it, but a lot of it too is did they enjoy your last video? You know what I mean? Like, because if someone watches a video of yours and they loved it, you can bet the next time you're recommended, their chance of clicking is a lot higher, So it's like, is it something that can be entertaining for a long time? Is it something that if they watch this next time, they see a video of mine, will they be excited? Like, I loved that last one, so I want to watch the next one. Like those two type of things. And then obviously, is it just interesting and clickable? And so that for, ideation, that's obviously the first and foremost.
Is there anything that you think is unique to how you film or your editing process that
well, I guess we start with filming. For me, and it might not always show, trust me, and I know I might sound like I come across as a know-it-all. I swear, I'm still learning stuff every day. When filming, though, I like to try to just put it, I feel like a lot of creators have a mindset of like, how can I get the most views with the least amount of time? And I'm not saying that's wrong, because obviously I have that mindset sometimes too, but I try to, when filming, put in as much work, even if it's like a 15-second part of a video, even if that one little part will take like 10 hours, Wow. But like hypothetically, right? But that 15 seconds is like, wow, like that's great. Like I feel like viewers genuinely notice when you go the extra mile. And so with filming, it's just like trying to make sure we're doing everything we can, no matter how expensive it is, no matter how much time it takes, to make the best video possible so they have the best experience. And so they want to, obviously watch more videos because that's what you want the viewers to do. And then with editing, just no dull moments, have a good hook at the beginning. Some minor tips I could give is like, if I do a video like Last Leaf Circle wins 10 grand, obviously people are going to watch to the end because they want to see who won the money. So you could apply that to your videos. If somehow you could have a payoff at the end, then more people are going to watch to the end just to see what happened. And just obviously don't cut out all dull moments, try not to over-explain things. If a camera just sits on me and I'm just talking for 20 seconds, it doesn't hold retention as well as, maybe me talking and other footage popping up. There's things like that if you just, there's literally in your analytics, and most of you probably know this, audience retention. You can see where people click off. Just literally go through your last 50 videos, write down where everyone clicked off, and then just don't do those things again.
How do you keep things fresh and engaging over time? You uploaded, 100 videos last year?
Somewhere, probably lower, probably like 70 to 80.
Okay.
Yeah. Again, I'm not perfect, so I don't do a great job of it, but, I like to end a series or a challenge on a high note. Like, you can just kind of tell when people are getting a little tired of it, or, you know, I just gave away $1 million, let's take hand off of it. So now if I do last to do blank wins 10 grand, it's just not really the same effect. But I'm still going to maybe occasionally do it, but it's just like, to keep things fresh, just, again, it's hard because so many of them are different. Like, if they're a Fortnite creator, you know, I'm not trying to tell them to switch games every month, because then that might kill their career. But for me, I just like to, you know, don't milk a series too hard. You know what I mean? Keep it fresh and always try to introduce things here and there. And then if it works, well, take it and run with it for a little bit, then introduce something else new. Because if I just did Lastly videos nonstop for the next 3 years, like, no one would watch me. Everyone would be like, we've seen it. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and you mentioned to me that you actually spend a lot of your time on brainstorming.
Yeah, ideas.
So is that like a regular thing?
Yeah,
or?
At the end of the day, like, the idea is a big part of the video. You know, not even just from clicking it, but whether or not people watch it. You know, if you're spending 24 hours in a corner, that's just not as entertaining as spending 24 hours in a jail cell. And at the end of the day, like, the only difference there is the idea. It's not the content. It's like, it's what you formulated beforehand. So yeah, like, I like to spend an hour a day. You know, it's dwindled recently. We have a lot of ideas, but if you spend an hour a day thinking of ideas, it's pretty hard to not expect your channel to do better. You know, unless you're just not executing them properly. But
all right, so you're uploading a lot of videos. How do you keep from burning out?
Like, if there's something that, like, I genuinely just don't want to get out of bed and do, that's a problem. And at the end of the day, it's just keeping it enjoyable. So I have Chris and Chandler, if you've seen my videos, they're really fun to be around. So, like, you know, spending 24 hours in a desert by myself would be miserable. But spending 24 hours with my boys and just hanging out and stuff like that makes it so much more fun. So for me, dude, this might not apply to like 90% of you, but for me, creating an environment that's fun, that I get excited for, and then, you know, outsourcing things that just make me not want to get out of bed, I don't know a different way to phrase it, that's what has helped, you know, long term make me stay motivated. So 2 years ago is when I brought Chris on and finally got a little bit of help. But for like the first 6-7 years, it was all me. If we are getting a little deep, it was pretty hard, like, because like all throughout high school, people would tell me I was too obsessed and told me like you shouldn't spend so much time on this. My mom and I fought constantly because like I just wanted to make videos instead of doing schoolwork. And when I dropped out of college, she kicked me out. You know, my mom's like really sweet and she cares about me, but she's like, go to college or leave. And I was like, I guess I have to leave. So it was a lot of ups and downs, and every part of the way to me, because I just knew that this is what I wanted to do. I couldn't see a life where I wasn't a YouTuber. It was either I'm a YouTuber and happy, or I'm sad. Those are like the only two outcomes. So I just kept making videos and persevering. And a big thing is I tried to connect with other YouTubers, because a lot of what I know and what I've gone over, I wouldn't know without other YouTubers. So I would constantly spam like a dozen YouTubers a day and
put it in your video title, your thumbnail, and the first 15 seconds of your content, because 99% of what's going to tell YouTube whether your content satisfies the viewer is that. Now, having said that, if you still want to focus on the description, then I would focus on the what's called above the fold part of the description, you know, the first couple of lines. Head on over to the monetization link down the left-hand navigation bar. Until your channel is monetized, this screen will show you your progress to those two requirements of 1,000 subscribers and 4,000 hours of watch time. Once you've met the requirements, you'll see this glorious blue Apply Now button. By comparison, when you haven't yet met the requirements, you can set YouTube to notify you the moment you are eligible. Back on the channel that is eligible, when you click on the Apply Now button, you'll be presented with the following 3 steps that you need to work through. These include reviewing the partner program terms, setting up a Google AdSense account and connecting it to your YouTube channel, and waiting for the partner program team at YouTube to review your channel and inform you of their decision. Let's get started with step 1. On the face of it, this all seems really simple. You click a couple of buttons and you start getting money from YouTube. But it's really important to know what you're agreeing to. Essentially, this is a business contract, and YouTube has responsibilities, and so do you. The first important step is to ensure your channel is set to the right country when you apply for YPP. In this example, because this is a Russian language channel, we had set the country for the channel to Russian. But obviously this doesn't apply to the monetization aspect of the channel. Plus, I can't speak Russian. So you can change your country from this link if you need to. Do bear in mind that this is one of the older pages on YouTube right now, and it may change in the future. As a side note, if you do need to change your country, you can do it through the settings in the YouTube studio and then going to the channel link from the pop-up screen. Alright then, YouTube Partner Program terms. First things first, if you are under 18, get a parent or legal guardian to go through this with you. Don't bother ignoring this. If you do, you'll just get stuck at step 2 anyway. Next up, be aware that it's not just this document you are reading. By extension, there are loads of YouTube policies and guidelines you are agreeing to. I cannot stress enough how important it is to be at least familiar with all of what this entails. YouTube has lots of community guidelines that they enforce more than they ever have done before, and you are responsible for the content you upload to YouTube. There are also YouTube Terms of Service, which you should definitely check out, and since you will be earning money through Google AdSense, at least to begin with, you'll need to give their policies a once over too. Alright then, let's get into the money side of things. All of these facts and figures are correct as of the time of recording, but of course YouTube could change these at any moment. When it comes to ad revenue, the basic principle is this. When an advertiser pays $1 to YouTube to place an advert on one of your videos, you earn 55% of that revenue, while YouTube takes the other 45%. So in this example, you would take home 55 cents and YouTube would keep the other 45 cents. But we're not often dealing with dollar amounts when it comes to advertisements. Usually they're bought for cents. And so YouTube is just going to split the difference as and when it is 55% for you, 45% for YouTube. Now, of course, you are entitled to your own opinions as to whether you think that's a fair cut, but consider this. Until you monetize your channel, you operate on YouTube for absolutely free. And once you are monetized, YouTube is your distribution platform for, on average, 2 billion users every single month. For me, I think that's a fair trade. When it comes to reporting these numbers in the YouTube studio, your estimated revenue is calculated after YouTube takes its 45% cut. So this number should be somewhere close to the final figure you earn. However, do note that your CPM figure does not take into account YouTube's cut. The RPM figure does factor this in, however. When it comes to monetization, RPMs and CPMs are all a bit next level, but if you do want to know more, we have a dedicated video right over here. I should also note that when it comes to YouTube's subscription service, it's the same cut, 55%, 45%, but with things like super chats and memberships, that cut is slightly different. You get 70% and YouTube keeps 30%. But those are things that are again a bit next level when it comes to monetization. The next thing you need to be prepared for is the delay in payment. If you earn $10 on Monday, don't expect that money to arrive in your bank account on Tuesday. I'm afraid it doesn't work like that. Not at all. You must reach the minimum payment threshold by the end of a calendar month to trigger a payout from YouTube. Currently that is set to $100 US or the equivalent amount in your currency. When that requirement is met, it can take up to 60 days for that payment to arrive in your account. If you don't meet the minimum threshold in 1 month, don't worry, you don't lose the money. It simply accumulates until you trigger a payout. That is an expectation many creators need to be accepting of when they first monetize their channel. It's likely that in your first month as a monetized channel, you may earn $20 to $50, and it could be a few months before you trigger that payout, and it could be up to 3 to 6 months before you receive your first YouTube paycheck. And that's actually a great question to hand off to you creators again who've already been monetized. How much did you earn on YouTube in your first month as a monetized channel? Comments below, please. Along with all of the other terms that you should read, be aware that YouTube is not responsible for applying any local taxes to the revenue you make from your channel. In short, it likely is taxable revenue wherever you live in the world, and I highly recommend consulting a tax expert in your region for guidance. Once you are ready, check the box and click on Accept Terms to move on to Step 2. On the YouTube side of things, first of all, click on the Start button, at which point you'll be prompted to log into your Google account again, since this is quite an important update. I'm afraid I can't really help you with your username and password. You either know it or you don't. Next up, you'll be asked whether or not you have an AdSense account, and this is where the information I can provide you is a little limited. And that's because we can't really fake creating an AdSense account. It's not really practical. But there are two things you need to consider with your AdSense account. You have to be over the age of 18 to create an AdSense account, which brings us back to step one, when a parent or a legal guardian should be walking through this YouTube monetization setup with you. Also, ultimately, you'll be wanting to take this money out of your AdSense account into a bank account. And again, that's going to require some verification, which you should do at least with a parent or guardian. So if you are creating a brand new AdSense account, make sure you are following all of the instructions on screen, and we'll take you back to our application as we already have an AdSense account. If you already have an AdSense account, confirm that you do, and then you'll be asked to sign into that account. I'll apologize now for the excessive amount of blurring you're about to see on screen. This sign up screen will show you your current AdSense details along with the YouTube channel you're about to associate your AdSense account with. All that's left to be done here is to click on Accept Association. You may temporarily end up on an AdSense screen, but ultimately you now need to redirect yourself back to the YouTube monetization screen at this point. And that is it. You've successfully applied for the YouTube Partner Program. Now comes the waiting game. There's no doubt about it, once you've applied for the YouTube Partner Program, your biggest question is, how long is this going to take? Let's get the official YouTube answer first. On YouTube's own support page for monetization application, they state that once your channel is under review, it typically takes about a month to receive their decision. Having said this, for most people the application process is a lot quicker, and we ourselves can prove that. Very recently, we submitted 2 channels for monetization. We did that on a Friday afternoon, and by Monday morning at 3 AM, we had been accepted into the YouTube Partner Program for those 2 channels.
Ryan Trahan has posted a video every single day for the last 30 days, consistently getting 5, 6, 7 million plus views on every single upload. And I am going to break down exactly how Ryan Trahan was able to do the impossible. No, not cross America with a penny. How he was able to gain 2 million subscribers in a month and go viral every single day. I mean, we're all wondering, how did he do this? Can anyone do this? Was this all just luck? No, it's not just luck. And that's what I'm going to explain and break down, everything from the thumbnails to the editing itself. And honestly, there's so much we can learn from this series that can help us creators go viral as well. But first, morning routine. It's not even morning, it's an inside joke. Okay. Now the first thing that made Ryan go viral is the idea. Now Ryan is on the entertainment side of YouTube, and if you've watched any of his videos, you know that he does extreme things and he does challenges, and well, this video, crossing America with a penny in 30 days, that's an extreme challenge. And also, this isn't really a brand new idea to Ryan. He's made many videos in the past surrounding this penny format, and this is one of the things that he found success with early on. So this is really smart for them to do this again, yet this time they're gonna make it more extreme, and they know that the format works, they know people are interested. So overall, because of the idea, they knew this would be a success before they even pressed record. Number dose is trend jacking, and trend jacking is honestly what I did on this video, okay? It's when you use someone who has a bigger authority or influence in your thumbnail or in your title to get those viewers, to get those fans, that community to watch that video. So if you clicked on this video for Ryan Trahan, hey, you know, I'm not offended. I'm a fan too. Let me know in the comments below if you love Ryan. Say, I heart Ryan. I'm gonna leave a comment saying I heart Ryan. Moving on. Okay, back to trend jacking. This is what Ryan did for this series. On episode 1, day 1, he used MrBeast in the thumbnail of this video, and this got him the most views out of all the videos from this series.
What do you guys think about MrBeast?
Who? And that's because people who love MrBeast want to click on that video and watch it and see what's going on.
Who?
And this is so smart because it makes MrBeast kind of like a character throughout the whole series. Even though he's really in just day 1 and day 30, people are still thinking about him, we're talking about him, and he's really involved in this entire series. The third reason he was able to go viral every single day is because he made this a series. Over these 30 days of uploads, he has one goal, and this really makes people want to come back every single day to see the progress. And so once you start start watching day 1, it gets really easy to want to go back and see what happens on day 2, day 3, and this continual storyline really makes viewers want to come back every single day to keep up and follow his journey. Number 4, community involvement. The fact that the viewers, the people watching, could actually donate and reset him in real time was really, really cool, and it made it really engaging for the people watching, and it felt like you could actually interact with Ryan. This really, I think, brought the community together and made it really fun and interactive with the people watching and with Ryan. Number 5, thumbnails. The thumbnails on the series were great, and in an interview with Colin and Samir, Ryan talked about how they made thumbnails previous to the actual series. Now, because they were making the series with such a short turnaround, they actually had to think through and plan some of these thumbnails in advance, and this was a big brain move from Ryan and his team. Now, I've reviewed countless videos of people in our community, and when I see their thumbnails, oftentimes it looks like they just took a screenshot from the video, maybe they added a little bit of text, and it just doesn't look as good as if you were to actually make a professional thumbnail and spend a little bit more time on it. And I always encourage them to think about and plan, and maybe sometimes even make their thumbnails in advance. Most of us know out there that thumbnails are so important for getting the clicks, so you definitely want to be spending some time creating a good thumbnail like Ryan did for his series. Now, besides actually just getting the click on a video, when someone clicks on that video, you want to keep them around as much as possible, and Ryan was able to do this with his team through editing. One of the most important things with editing, especially when it comes to the entertainment niche, is the pacing of the video. Now, as a viewer, we don't see all the deleted scenes and cutout clips that didn't make the final cut of the video, but you got to think, these guys were at least filming for 12 to 16 hours every single day, and the videos were coming in at like 12, 13, 14 plus minutes, and so there's a lot of stuff that they cut out that didn't make it into the final video, and this helps keep the pacing fresh so that we aren't getting bored as a viewer watching the video. Everything is the best of the best, and it is super entertaining. Now, one of the editing tricks I noticed that they utilized a lot was the voiceover.
I am now in my hammock. As you can see by the wet hair, I went to Castle Hill Fitness, walked in, decompressed my back a bit. I took a shower, used mouthwash because they have mouthwash, and now we're here.
Now, they utilize these voiceovers a lot within this series, and I think this was super smart.
Back to mowing. We are getting rejected over and over and over and over and over.
One of the reasons for doing this is actually for the pacing, so that the video doesn't go slow. So if they filmed everything and maybe it just was too slow, it was too boring, maybe it wasn't as funny, they do this voiceover and they get like a bunch of time passing within a few seconds just by talking about what happened. And this really was a great editing trick to help speed things along throughout the day within the edit. Number 8 was the comedic timing. Now, if you watched any of the videos, you probably were laughing through a lot of them because it was just hilarious.
Okay, so I just finished all the outside windows, but I do need to get these top ones. I have no idea how I'm gonna do this.
I noticed is the way that they used their music. Now, for one, they would usually use music that would enhance the emotion of the scene.
Wow, guys, 30 days. Over 3,000 miles.
But then other times they would just use music that was very comedic, and it's kind of like this cheesy music, and it just really made it super funny.
Best part of my day right here.
There's a lot of scenes where the music is getting played and then it just gets cut off abruptly. It doesn't fade out. It literally just stops, and then there's like a funny moment or an awkward moment, and then the music kind of picks back up again.
It's closed.
And this editing technique is a great way to kind of highlight that funny or awkward moment in the scene.
And now we're less than a mile away from crossing the entire country and giving MrBeast a penny. What? Oh! Well, there goes the sentiment.
Is to niche down your content. I made the huge mistake in the beginning, and so many YouTubers do, of uploading so many different pieces of content and so many different niches. You need to focus on one, and it's got to be one where you think you could provide an enormous amount of value. I don't care if it's incredibly saturated or anything like that. As long as you think you have a unique selling point and you can provide a lot of value there, trust me, you can break into it. It doesn't matter how saturated it is. But seriously, be honest with yourself when you're thinking about this. If you cannot provide a lot of value in this space, you should probably think of another niche. Just so you guys know, you can have more than one niche on YouTube, but I would strongly recommend that you keep it to 2 at most, and make sure that they're both very similar. For example, I upload TikTok content and YouTube content. They're both very similar. It's basically the same audience that wants to see those two things. But if you were doing like real estate content and then content about like dogs, it's probably not gonna work. You should just pick one or the other. So if you're gonna post about real estate, just post about that. If you're gonna post about cars, just post about that. And of course, as you gain more subscribers, you get more views, you will be able to dive into different things and things of that nature. But in the beginning, you wanna make sure that you're consistently uploading about the same content so you can start to develop that audience, really cultivate it, it, and that's how you start to increase the amount of views that you get. Because your subscribers are gonna become used to what you're actually putting out, they're gonna start to watch more, and then YouTube is gonna start to suggest your content in search, in suggested, and in browse features based on whatever your audience looks like. More or less what they're gonna do is find people that look like that and then show your content to them, as long as you're getting a good amount of average view duration, but we'll talk about that in a little bit. Nevertheless, they need a consistent pool of audience that is consistently watching your videos, and then they're gonna find more people like that and push your content out to them. The next important thing, this is incredibly important, as you guys can see, I do it in my own content, you need to be answering every single comment. The reason being, first, it's gonna increase the amount of engagement that you get on your posts. Secondly, it's going to really allow you to cultivate a relationship with your audience. And if you respond to somebody's comment, trust me, they're gonna watch your video the next time that they see it pop up on browse features or on suggested. So this is just a great way for you to stay top of mind with your consumer. This is so important. You guys should be doing this until you just can't do it anymore. Personally, I used to do this for 3 to 4 hours every single day, 3 or 4 hours every night. After I got done working for Gary Vee, I would stay up all night either recording videos or responding to all the comments from my old videos, and this was fundamental in me growing an audience that really loved the content I put out. All that being said though, if you really want YouTube to blow up for you, you need to get the algorithm to love you, and you're gonna have to master these 3 things. And trust me, you want the algorithm to love you because that's gonna mean your videos are gonna be put on suggested and on browse features, and they're gonna be surfaced to so many people. And if you have an audience that you wanna serve, this is the best way to do it. So that being said, you're gonna have to focus on 3 things. First, the click-through rate. Second, your average view duration. And then third, the topic of your videos and how much engagement they get. Another thing that really impacts this is how often you're uploading to YouTube. I strongly suggest you should be uploading at least once a week. I would try for multiple times a week for 2 reasons. First, it's gonna be feeding your consumer more content. You're gonna be providing them more value. Secondly, it's gonna make you way better at getting in front of a camera, being able to change your tone, being able to edit certain things. And honestly, it just really helps in the beginning if you create as much content as possible. So again, you could really feed that audience and really get a stronghold and basically have them looking forward to when you're dropping your next video. Especially in the beginning, I strongly suggest you upload 2 to 4 times every single week. And again, once you start to establish with the YouTube algorithm that you're posting in one specific niche, they're gonna find that audience and they're gonna start to push your content out there, and it's gonna make it way easier for you to start to rank in search, which is really gonna help you out because you know thousands, tens of thousands, even hundreds of thousands of people for some searches gonna be searching for that every single day, and then they're gonna find your video, and that's gonna establish you as an expert in whatever field that is. For example, I'll give you guys a prediction. I basically own all of the search results right now for TikTok related stuff. For YouTube, I don't have any of it. I suspect that over the next 6 months, I'm gonna be able to take over the YouTube search results because I'm gonna be putting out the most up-to-date content and engaging with my audience the most and getting the highest average view duration and click-through rate on my posts. But don't be mistaken, that's not me being cocky, that's just me being very confident in the fact that I'm gonna provide you guys more value when it comes to increasing your YouTube views, increasing your subscribers, and really smashing it on YouTube, and that is my pack to you guys. When it comes to looking at your video analytics, in order to increase your views, I need you guys to focus on 2 stats. First, the amount of end screen views that you're getting, and then secondly, the amount of subscribers that you're gaining. This is gonna give you 2 things. First, the amount of end screens, it's a real value for how many people are actually watching all the way through, and then the amount of subscribers that you're getting per video. You're gonna wanna make content very similar, or the next step in the progression of whatever video you have that is getting you the most subscribers. The reason being, you already know what those people are interested in, why they subscribed. You'll be able to notice that because of the video that they watched, and then you'll be able to tell pretty easily what they're gonna wanna see next or what complementary video they wanna see. And remember, your success on YouTube is 100% dependent on you having a catalog of content that people are gonna watch that brings them value, so that should be your main focus. Think about it. Even David Dobrik makes very funny content. You watch his content video after video after video after video. You need yours to be set up the same way, whether it's information content, comedy content, or anything like that. Because trust me, the ultimate measure of whether or not somebody's actually getting value from your content is whether or not they're binge watching it, and YouTube is able to predict what they need to see next. And this brings me to my next point, which is the #1 mistake that YouTubers make when they first get started. I said it earlier in the video, but whenever you make new content, it's gotta be as close to as possible what you think the viewer would wanna see. Now, let me give you an example of this, because I, in the beginning, started uploading about TikTok content. It was incredibly successful. What was really successful was content around the TikTok algorithm, how to increase your views and how to increase your followers. So whenever I make a video that doesn't effectively do those 3 things, it gets way less views. The reason being, it's not really what my audience wants to see. Yes, the posts are still about TikTok, or they're still about YouTube or something like that, but it's not that close to the videos that really took off, and that's why they see a decrease in views. I want you guys to keep this in mind, because just because you're posting about real estate doesn't mean that you can post anything about real estate. There's gonna be a sub niche niche within just real estate that's actually gonna take off, and you're gonna wanna try to make content as closely as possible to whatever that sub niche is. Another example for you guys is my top performing video is going from 0 to 10K followers on TikTok in just 7 days, so that video really works. If I upload a video about how to go from 0 to 100K in 7 days, it's not gonna work because I'm just not talking to the same audience. But if I made a video about how to make money on TikTok with less than 10,000 followers, I bet it would get a lot of views because again, it's what that audience wants to see. You guys need to be looking at these subtle differences when you're coming up with new titles, new thumbnails, and new video ideas. And trust me, you don't want to lose any momentum that you build on YouTube because it's so hard to get it. The second that you start to have momentum, you want to make sure that you're making the right decision when it comes to making new content that's going to be complementary or the next phase in the progression of what somebody that's in your audience wants to see. And another tip that so many YouTubers just tend to neglect is you really need to be providing your audience with value. That means the right information, the right education. If you're making vlog content, it's gotta be interesting. If you're making funny content or comedy content, it's gotta actually be funny. Way too many people will upload something, it doesn't get the support that they want, and then they're like, oh, the audience is wrong. Guys, trust me, the audience is never wrong. All that's saying is not that you suck, just that your piece of content sucked and that it could get better. And that's how you're gonna get better over and over and over again, by actually looking at the analytics, increasing your views every single time, increasing that click-through rate, increasing that average view duration, and striving to provide your audience with more value, which again, answering comments and looking what videos will work will allow you to do this. And over time, you're gonna get better and better, have that catalog of content. People are gonna binge watch your stuff, and boom, you're gonna take off on YouTube. And my last two tips when it comes to increasing your views on YouTube are gonna be two things. First, try to rank for things that are gonna rank in search, because again, people search for those things all day, 24/7. It's gonna allow you to get way more views than you could have ever imagined and allow you to establish yourself as an authority in a niche. And then secondly, you need to be promoting the out of your YouTube content on Instagram, TikTok, every other platform that you can use.
Extremely consistent over the last 12 months, and this is why that's important. When 2 videos are uploaded a week plus my live stream, that's 3 times a week, and it's all spaced out over the course of the week. When I upload that content on a regular basis, what happens is I'm constantly in the minds, so to speak, of you, the people that are watching my videos. And I'm in your mind because YouTube keeps putting me on your homepage. YouTube keeps putting me in your subscription feed. YouTube keeps suggesting me to you when I upload a new video because I constantly have new videos coming out. And because I constantly have videos coming out that you respond to, YouTube is constantly putting me out there in all of these different places around the platform, letting people know that I have new content. And here's the thing, if you have a channel right now that is working in terms of, you know, like, hey, I'm getting views are coming in, my retention's good, my click-through rate's good, people are engaging in my content, the more content that you start putting out, the better off that you're gonna be, because if people are responding to it, then you're putting out all of this good content that people are responding to, which in turn is gonna cause YouTube to send more and more people to you with the more and more content that you keep putting out. I'm not the best at math, but I can tell you a lot more videos equals a lot more chances of people seeing those videos, a lot more chances of their recommendations, and a lot more chances of potential videos doing a lot better than other videos. So being consistent and uploading on a regular basis has been really beneficial for me, and it can be for you as well. Another thing that can help you grow really fast on YouTube is making sure that the content that you're putting out, all aspects of your content, the background that you're using, how you're presenting the content, how things look, how things sound, the music that you're using, and even the language that you use, making sure that all of it resonates with the audience that you're trying to reach, that target demographic of people that you're trying to get in front of, making sure that every aspect of the content that you're creating is something that will resonate with the people that you're wanting to reach. Like on my channel, you know, one of the things that's helped me, in my opinion, is that, you know, I make my content in a way that other creatives can enjoy. You know, I try to make it look a certain way, try to make the colors pop, I try to do some, you know, fun and creative stuff from time to time just to remind myself and other people that in addition to making talking head videos, that I'm also a creative as well. The important thing about educating yourself, in my opinion, is that YouTube is constantly changing. So it's important that as YouTube and social media, the whole landscape, as, you know, video and all that stuff, as it's all morphing, it's important that we all constantly educate ourselves so that we can stay up with the changes that are taking place. I mean, that's how you win, right? You learn what works and you keep doing that, and you keep educating yourself to make sure that what you're doing is going to continue to work. Another thing that's been extremely helpful for me on my channel, and it can be for you on yours as well, is making sure that every piece of content that you put out adds value to other people in some way. If you go back to my 10,000 subscriber milestone video and you watch, actually, if you watch all of my milestone videos, I'll put links to some of them down in the description, but if you watch my milestone videos, you'll see the common theme that ripples through all of them is, you know, be consistent, add value to other people, care, You know, connect with your audience, you know, try to meet your audience where they're at. And I know it sounds kind of like new agey, saying, hey, you know, to add value and all that, but really at the end of the day, adding value to other people is, in my opinion, that's the best way to win. But here's the thing, growing on YouTube is not rocket science. Yes, there are things that you can do to make things go faster. Yes, there are things that you can do to connect with your audience on a deeper level. Yes, there are things that you might be overlooking right now on your channel. But if you're not growing as fast as you would like right now, be patient, hang in there. You can do this. In all honesty, it may take you a while to get to where you want to be. You know, it might take you a year, 2 years, or maybe even longer. Or 6 months from now, you might just blow past all of your wildest expectations for what you're able to accomplish here on the platform. Or in social media or video in general, because this whole space is just getting bigger and it's just getting more powerful and more opportunities are just pouring from video content. So being able to tap into that and being able to just stay the course is extremely important. And I know that sometimes it gets discouraging. I know that sometimes it gets overwhelming. I know sometimes you might look at the numbers, you know, you might have like a friend of yours, or you might have somebody that you're competing against where you say, you know, like, oh, you know, they're doing so much better than I am. What's going on? What am I doing wrong? You know, it might not be that you're doing something wrong. It might just be that there hasn't been enough time yet. Maybe.
And if you were to do it faster again, if you were to start another channel and do it faster this time, what would you recommend?
So regarding getting monetized, I think what helped my channel to get monetized in the 7 months was that, first of all, I was very consistent. So in the beginning, I did 2 videos a week, and then I brought it down to 1 video a week, but I tried to still be very, very consistent.
My number one advice to get monetized as fast as possible is creating searchable content. When you have no viewers, no subscribers, no one will care about things that are related to you. For example, about our game, I didn't make videos like my best soldiers, my best commanders. No, I made top 5 infantry marches for free-to-plays or low spenders, or the best archer commanders in the game. So let's say you are making videos about cars. Your video cannot be my best car so far, because no one cares about your car. But instead, you could do something like the best car for a teenager, because this is a searchable content. That is 100% my number one advice. And if I would start a brand new channel today, the only thing that I will change would be having a thumbnail template, because your thumbnail is so important. It's not just about the click-through rate, but you can actually create a brand awareness with your thumbnail. So if you manage to do it, when people sees your thumbnail, they don't even need to look at the channel name. They will understand, oh, okay, that's Spartan Gaming, because the template or the style of the thumbnail will be familiar. So that is what I'm working on right now.
My number one piece of advice for getting monetized faster on YouTube would definitely be Nate's drafting system. The more I utilize that method of getting more people involved in my tribe, the more I see my numbers grow, and the more comments I get, and the more people reaching out to me for sponsorships and collaborations. And I am just a full-hearted believer that that is definitely been the push that has taken my channel to the next level. If I were to do it again, the way I would do it faster is I would not incorporate so many different directions in the beginning of my channel. I tried dabbling in postpartum weight loss, nutrition for babies, and breastfeeding, and like so many different things that were going on in my life at the moment. I'm like, oh, I can help people with this, and I can help people with that, and this might be interesting. But that's not helpful for YouTube, because YouTube is trying to pinpoint exactly who your audience is. And in order to do that, they need to know what the heck your videos are about in a singular direction. So if you're confused about who your audience is, you can bet that YouTube is completely...
To boil it down to 4 succinct directions or takeaways that you can take as you're getting your channel monetized more quickly right now. Because things like publishing consistently or publishing 2 times a week, that's been said over and over, and it makes sense because, of course, if you're not publishing videos, you're not going to get monetized. That's just how it works, because the more videos you have out there, the more lines you have in the water, the more likelihood that you will have videos take off and start to gain the audience you're looking for. That kind of just makes sense, but I wanted to talk about this other thing, longer sessions. What I'm seeing work really well right now is intentionally developing your ideas for your videos and your publishing schedule such that you create longer viewing sessions for your audience. Now, what I mean by that is, do your videos cause people to stay on YouTube longer? And so anything we can do to implement a strategy to make sure that they watch one video, then another video, then another video on your channel will cause your channel to get monetized much more quickly because it's growing more quickly and you're getting those watch hours more quickly. So I want you to do this to get more watch time in your next upcoming videos. And I want you to think of them not in terms of a single video, I'm just producing one video and then another video and then another video. I want you to think of them as groups of videos. The next big takeaway point I want you to get from this is early traffic. Now, for a while, I shied away from teaching people to make very searchable videos because in many cases, if we were targeting search primarily, you just got search, a single session, a single video watch, they came for the answer, and then they left. But what I am seeing work very well is leveraging search to get people in the door for early traffic, but then within those videos that they are searching for, giving them compelling reasons to, get this, watch other videos on your channel, even though they started the session on your channel with their watch time in search. They also want to watch other videos on your channel. The next thing mentioned, I actually didn't write it down here, is I have an entire drafting system within Project 24. It's one of the first things you do after you first start building out your channel, but again, that's in Project 24, so if you want it, you can go check it out. And that takes me to the third thing, which is thumbnail branding. Now, I thought this was interesting that Spartan Gaming mentioned this because of the many channels that I look at. The ones that have the more themed branding, I'll look at Alexia Yoga, for example. You can see a common color scheme and a common font across all of these, as well as well-produced photographs. It's such that the perception from the audience standpoint is of professionalism, and they think this is someone that's in it for the long term and they're professional and they're going to be doing this for a while. And I enjoy watching their videos. So when I see another video that has their same branding, they're more likely to watch it again. And will that grow your subscriber count? Yes, absolutely it will. The next one that I thought was very interesting that they stated was having a focused purpose early on. Now, I need to address this. If you have a clear vision very quickly on your channel and you go that direction and it happens to be good or a good strategy to approach your channel with, of course your channel is going to grow more quickly. However, that's not always the case. And especially if you're at YouTube and this is your first time building a YouTube channel, you're not going to know exactly what to do all of the time, and that's okay. However, whatever you can do to get the help that you need, to get the right sequence of steps or the right skill sets to allow you to be better focused, like what I wrote right here, a singular focus for the growth of your channel, it will be beneficial. You see, I wanted to know, were there downtimes on this journey to getting monetized, and what did you do to get through it? Because this video would be incomplete if we just talked about strategies and we didn't address the mental aspect of actually sticking with the grind.
Now, of course, there's been so many downtimes, especially when you see that your channel maybe doesn't grow as fast as you maybe would have wanted it to do, and it's only natural to get a bit demotivated. But the thing is that when we start a YouTube channel as complete beginners, we're not only trying to understand how to share our knowledge, but we're also learning all about titles, all about thumbnails, all about the production value, all about audio, all about so many things. And so it's a big, steep learning curve. But my key advice to anyone would be, don't give up, just keep moving forward, and with each video you're just going to get better and better. And now when I look back at my first videos, I think, oh wow, I've come so far since then.
To me, there were no downtimes because, thanks to channel makers, I knew what should I pay attention to and what should I not. I cannot control the views, I cannot control how much money that I'm going to get. The only thing that I can control is my content. And since I didn't focus on those numbers, there were no downtime. So I'm still super motivated, just like I am in day one.
Absolutely, there were downtimes during this struggle to get monetized on YouTube. And what I did to get through them was rely on my support group from channel makers, the support system through Income School's community, as well as a smaller group of individuals, because otherwise everybody in your life thinks you are crazy when you tell them that you are a YouTuber and you're going to make a living off of making YouTube videos. Everybody looks at you like you're an alien and you're being silly, and that's just not the case. This is by far the best opportunity that's in front of everyone in this society right now, and if you don't take advantage of it, you're doing yourself a huge disservice, not to mention all of those individuals that could use your help. So take that into account when you're getting in front of the camera and you start getting stage fright and you just want to stop and you want to give up every time your video doesn't do well, but it just hang in there and don't look at the analytics. That's probably my #1 piece of advice in the beginning.
There definitely were downtimes, mostly at the beginning of the journey when I started going to dealerships, trying to negotiate partnerships for them to lend me the bikes for the reviews. I mean, I was a nobody. Who was gonna trust in me? But I showed them my very first video I did with my own personal bike. They liked it, they trust me, and that's how everything started. And I really do think the reason that made all that possible is the passion. Everything you do on YouTube about metrics, planning, analysis is super important. But in the end, and in my opinion, it all boils down to your passion and your personality. Keep talking about the things you love, the way you love to talk about them, and you will definitely connect with your audience.
Now, there was one other question that I asked them just for fun. And in fact, the words I used were bonus if you feel like it, in parentheses. In what ways has Nate/Channel Makers helped you along the way? I added it as a joke, but all 4 of them responded.
But I think my favorite part from channel makers, and okay, this is also me, I used to be a scientist, was let's say the scientific approach to how he presents the data. So the way that Nate gathers data from, actual YouTubers and then presents it in a way that it can actually be helpful for us. I think that's been what's been the biggest help from channel makers for my channel. So thank you very much for that.
And my final advice to viewers is about Nate and channel makers. Do not just focus on the topic of the video. Let's say Nate made a video about thumbnails. Besides listening what he has to say about thumbnails, you have to pay attention what he actually does during the video, because Nate is applying all his knowledge to his video regardless of the topic. Just observe how he changes camera angles just to not bore us, or the simple call to actions, or booping the like button, or how he smoothly directs us to another video at the end screen. All these little details Nate applies to his videos, and even if you don't care about the topic, you should still watch and understand how he does certain things.
To be perfectly honest, I would have had no clue how to go about this situation of building a channel and getting monetized as quickly as I did. It took about 6 months, and it was because of his and Anna's and Jim's and Ricky's advice from Income School that really got me to where I'm at. Not to toot your guys' horn, but I'm just being honest. You guys are amazing.
Nate and channel makers really pushed me forward in the right direction because he knows what he is talking about. I'm sure you are very good at talking about the things you love. Nate is very good at making your message reach the people you want.
YouTube is hard, and it's not a sprint, it's a marathon. It's important to remember that as you grow, you still have to earn every view and subscriber you get. You aren't entitled to them just because you hit the upload button. Don't be obsessed with the numbers, appreciate the viewership you do have, and keep working on improving your channel. Not because you'll be entitled to more growth if you do, but hopefully because it makes you feel good to work hard on your content.
Now, I just want to piggyback on Gerald's first tip when he was talking about doing a variety channel. So one of the biggest mistakes that I made when I first started YouTube was not being realistic about the niche that I was going to start creating in. So when I first started, I started my YouTube channel with my wife, and we were doing the whole adventure, travel, couple thing on YouTube. So what we wanted to do was create a travel vlog and travel around the world and create content around our travels. Now, when you're coming up with the niche and what you want to do, you need to be realistic with yourself. For us, we weren't going to quit our jobs and go travel the world. Like, that's not something that we were planning on doing, so putting ourselves in this niche wasn't necessarily the best thing to do. We should have done a little bit more research on what it's actually going to take to A, start a YouTube channel, but B, make a travel vlog YouTube channel. We travel here and there, we like creating content around those travels, but when it comes to what you're realistically going to create and what you can create time and time again throughout however long you're going to be doing YouTube, you need to understand like what it's going to take. So having a travel channel, you really have to be invested in travel and you have to be traveling. I mean, that's one of the big things about it. For me, I run a production company here in Los Angeles and I wasn't going to be traveling all the time. There's definitely going to be moments where we're going to go out and travel here and there, but it's not something realistic that we can do for an extended period of time. So my big tip for you would be realistic with yourself on what it is that you're actually going to create. If you go down the path of a specific niche, is this something that you actually want to do? Is this something that you're going to want to do 5 years years from now. And I want you to really think about this, because when you set yourself up in a niche and get going, you're going to start getting some momentum and you're going to get followers in that particular niche. And if you have to rebrand yourself or completely change your channel down the road, it's going to be harder and it's going to stunt your growth. And this is exactly what happened to me. I had to change from my travel brand to basically my personal brand, which is what it is now. And I had to make a massive switch, and it was a tough thing to do. So let's hear some of the biggest mistakes from Dunna Did It.
What is up? My name is Dunna from the channel Dunna Did It, and I definitely made my fair share of mistakes when I first started out with YouTube. Kind of going with one that's a little bit more of a mental thing and one that's a little bit more technical. The first one is that I put way too much stress on myself about trying to get views and promoting my videos instead of focusing more on actually making better videos. It's easy to look at some of these bigger channels and see that they're getting thousands, tens of thousands, millions of views and be like, well, my video's as good as that. How come it's not getting those views? But that's not really how it works. You have to put out lots of videos. You have to put out really good content. You really have to be out there for a while before that'll happen. It's very few and far between that just get that viral video and skyrocket to that level. So instead of spending all of that extra energy on trying to go on Facebook and promote it and Twitter and Reddit and wherever it is, I really wish that I would have spent more time making more videos and getting better at making good videos, getting more out there, because every time you put a video out, that's another chance for someone to find you. And the second mistake that I made that I wish I could, go back and teach my former self to not make this mistake is to focus more on thumbnails. It seems so simple to me now that the first thing that we see and the reason that we click on something is the thumbnail. We're very visual. If you go into a grocery store and you have a whole aisle full of sugar, you're naturally going to be drawn to the one that looks the best to you. Whatever has the nicest style or whatever you're into, that's the one you're going to be drawn to, and videos are no exception to that. And all of the YouTube gurus tell you this, but it's something that I kind of had to figure out as time went on. And so now I try and be a little bit more aesthetic with my thumbnails so that they're more clickable, but still my style. So those are my beginner mistakes that I made and kind of how you can fix them.
Dunna brought up an awesome point. So your thumbnails are super important, and so is your title and your descriptions and all of that. So I highly suggest you put some effort into that element of creating content for your channel, because if someone doesn't click your video, then they're not gonna watch your video. So you need to actually grab people by creating engaging thumbnails. All right, so now let's check out Sydney's biggest mistakes that he's made on YouTube and some of the tips that he has for you.
Okay, here we go. So one of the first mistakes I made when I started my YouTube channel back in 2012 was that I was afraid. I was so afraid that my first video would be so bad that it actually took me 5 years to actually start creating consistent content. I gave in to the fear, I was procrastinating, I made up so many excuses that it prevented me from doing what I love doing most. And if I would have told myself when I first started YouTube just to embrace it, embrace the fear, and just make that first video regardless of how it comes out, man, it would have been a different story. So that was my first mistake, was that I was so afraid that it prevented me from actually doing what I love doing, and that's creating content. Another mistake that I made when I started my YouTube channel was that I was copying Casey Neistat. I mean, I saw his success, I didn't know how to vlog, and so I just pretty much imitated him, even to his editing style, his pacing, his choice of music, and deep down in my gut, I just knew it wasn't right for me. I mean, it worked for him, obviously, but it just wasn't right for me because it wasn't my voice. That was just such a big mistake, because when I made videos imitating Casey, I got no views. I mean, I worked so hard making these videos that I was so frustrated and angry and upset that no one would actually see it. And so one day I finally came to terms with it, and I started making videos that resonated with me. And funny enough, it wasn't until those videos that it resonated with other people, and I started getting traction and views and subscribers, and that's when I finally took off. And so, big lesson learned, you have to be yourself, because if you try to be like another Casey Neistat, you're gonna be another Casey Neistat. And if you want to stand out on YouTube, you have to be yourself. And so that was a big mistake on my part, is that I didn't embrace who I was, and I just embraced somebody else's persona. Being on YouTube, you have to be yourself.
So I've got a quick tip for you to just add on to everything else that we're talking about here, and that is don't get stressed about the analytics. Don't always be looking at social blades, seeing your subscriber counter go up. Don't always be looking at how many views you're getting. You can get really lost in the analytics, and it's one of those things that can really take your attention away from the important part, which is creating awesome content. All right, so next we've got Dave from Kinotika. He's got a few tips for you that's gonna help you with your channel.
Hey guys, I'm Dave Mays, host of a channel called Kinotika. We have over 50,000 subscribers and we review camera gear and equipment and try to make it really entertaining. I'm also the host of a podcast, as you can see behind me. This is actually the Polar Pro set. The podcast is called Golden Hour and we interview creatives and influencers. It just launched today actually, so we're really excited to share that. So check out Golden Hour on Polar Pro's YouTube channel. To answer Jeven's question, which 2 mistakes did you make as a YouTuber? Well, the first mistake that I actually made is not staying focused. I started doing YouTube when I was also doing freelance work, and I think that's a very important thing to do starting out because you can actually pay your bills, but I actually found myself just diving into not having enough time to actually do YouTube. I want to be a good husband and a good father to my son, but I also want to do this YouTube thing. So I actually started saying no to a lot of freelance work that was maybe not paying at the rate that I wanted. And I was able to figure out my budget to live off of a lower income to build my YouTube channel. At this point, it's kind of balanced out the other way to where I'm actually making enough money now to be a full-time YouTuber and not have to worry about freelance. So if you want to be a YouTuber, then consider cutting back some of your freelance work, maybe some of the things that you don't have to take, that you kind of feel obligated to take because you've worked with them in the past and you're giving them a discounted rate because they're a friend. Start cutting those things out of your life so that you have more time to focus on the things that you actually want to do, like being a YouTuber. And the second big mistake that I made as a YouTuber was doing this alone. I think one of the most important things as a YouTuber is finding other people who do the same type of content as you on YouTube and becoming their friends. And I'm not talking about reaching out to Casey Neistat or Peter McKinnon cold. I mean, you can do that and maybe they'll respond, but really people who are kind of at the same level as you that you can just kind of partner with and grow together with. I think it's really important because as a YouTuber, you sometimes find yourself in a really lonely place. You're shooting videos by yourself, you're editing them by yourself, and oftentimes it's really lonely. So I found it to be really valuable to reach out to fellow YouTubers who are similar to me, like Jeven, who asked me to be in this video. And it really helps you as a creator because you're able to lean on them when you're struggling. You can ask them questions about the algorithm or which thumbnail you think is better. It's just a really great way to grow as a YouTuber, reach out to other people similar to you, and they don't have to live in your city. You can do this over the internet. You can do this over Twitter, over Instagram DMs. It's not something that you have to do in a physical location, although moving to Los Angeles helps a lot.
All right, so I've got another quick tip for you, and that is you need to just enjoy the process of creating content. You need to stop worrying about the analytics so much. I kind of talked about this earlier, but you need to just enjoy the fact that you're creating content and this is something that you enjoy doing. If you get wrapped up too much in the analytics and all the stuff that goes into, getting your videos higher in the ranking system, you kind of forget about the fact that we're here just creating awesome content. So never walk away from your creativity and always be focused on creating awesome content rather than always thinking about analytics and data and all that stuff. All right, so I've got a couple more tips from you from Josh from Make Art Now and some of his biggest mistakes that he made when he started his YouTube.
Yo, Josh, yo. Okay, 2 mistakes when I first started out. Oh boy, how much time you got? All right, so it took me a full year to shoot and edit my very first episode, and then I scrapped it. I ended up reshooting and re-editing and releasing that one. I wasted so much time. I was so crippled by the fear of judgment and rejection that I lost sight of my work ethic, which is experience makes you better. I could have started a whole year earlier if I just released that first one. I don't know, maybe I'll release it sometime. It'd be a good story. If you guys want a really inspiring message, go watch Ira Glass, The Creative Process. Watch that about 10 times and let that sink in. All right, second big mistake. Trying to predict what subscribers want. I've wasted so much time in the very beginning, and the truth is, trends come and go. So what works for some YouTubers yesterday won't work for you today. And that's just the truth of any industry that we're in. Trends evolve. So in the end, you just have to do stuff that you want to do, right? This is long game stuff. You don't want to get burned out doing product videos. You want to do stuff that artistically turns you on, that fills the bucket, that just gives you juice, and you will attract your kind of subscribers. I would much rather have 100,000 of my hardcore subscribers than 1 million of like take it or leave it subscribers, just kind of pick them up from here or there. You want people that are in your corner because they will follow you anywhere. Whatever career you go in, they will follow you. And the only way to do that is by doing the things that you love.
And it's not going to be that big a deal in the world. And one of the tips I have for you is just communicate with your audience. So whether that's through Twitter, Instagram, your community tab, just tell your viewers what's going on. You could even just create a quick update video where you're talking to your audience. Communication is key. And so you need to actively engage with your audience. You need to comment to them, you need to talk to them, you need to tell them what's going on, and you just need to be a person. Take the pressure off to always be creating content and always be forced to get something out. Your content is going to suffer because if you force yourself to just put stuff out, it's not going to be very good. And then I got one more bonus tip for you. It's actually something that Dave was talking about. And one of the biggest mistakes that I made when I first started out was not collaborating with other YouTubers. Now, there's a few reasons why you want to collaborate. Number one is that it's going to grow your channel and you're going to reach new audiences. But number two, and more important than growing your channel, is that you're going to meet really awesome creators doing some really cool stuff on this platform. The key is just wanting to work with other creators because you're gonna learn from each other, you're gonna have awesome experiences, and it's just gonna be a ton of fun. So that's one thing I wish I could tell myself going back years ago when I first started my YouTube channel, is start reaching out to other creators, start joining in the conversation, and start being a part of the community because it is such an awesome group of people.
I love PewDiePie, and I bet this video did great, but if you put that on your video as a small channel, probably not going to do that well. Now, Felix might say this is one of his best performing thumbnails he's ever made. Does that mean we should copy it? Well, in most cases, no, because it's his face that triggers the interest, and ours probably won't. I actually made my own version of this, and that video caused 3 subscribers to leave. Thanks, Felix. Big channels also have tons of data in which they can react to, which will help them refine the thumbnails to get better results. And that could be a reason they don't look great sometimes, because actually that is what works for them. But in the early days, when you don't have time, data, or a recognizable brand or face, or even fancy pants photo editing software, it's worth focusing on getting the basics right that do work across the board for everyone. So here's some of the things I think will help you out a lot with your thumbnail design, no matter who you are or what stage in your YouTube journey you're at. So the first thing is to simply take a photo. These are videos I pulled stills from, and these are thumbnails where I took a photo for the thumbnail. Can you see the difference? The photo is just better quality. It can also take a long time to find a still from a video that isn't pulling a weird face. And when you take a photo, you'll put more thought into the image rather than just hoping something comes along that might work. I mean, if you leave it up to a still, you're really limiting your creative options. The same applies if you do not appear in your thumbnail and you use an image. Photos are just better in so many cases. Number 2, left to right. In the West, we read from left to right. So if you're using text in your image, it makes sense to put the text in the left. Now, it's by no means wrong to put it anywhere else, but our eyes naturally seek outwards from that side. So if you can't decide where to put your text on your image, just eliminate your time-consuming choice by going with the safest option. Number 3, contrasting colors. So what you can see now is the Adobe color wheel. If you click here and then drag this around to the color that takes up most of your background, it will show you the exact opposite color, which means if you're using text and you want it to stick out from a background a lot, that opposite color is a great choice to go for. It's not wrong to use anything else. You can just trust in the decision that this will help you make. Number 4, text. If you do use text in your images, then simplify your message down to around 4 words. Basically, your thumbnail needs to work when it's displayed very small to get the right message across and to stick out, which means small text in a sentence is too hard to read, and even bigger letters and lots of them gives our eyeballs more work to do. My video on rethinking thumbnails explains how important it is to get noticed instantly, and lots of text can slow this down. That also means using a bold font. Number 5, fonts. Serif fonts are things like this, a little more old school and sophisticated. These were designed for print back in the day. Sans fonts like this were designed to be easier to read on screen. So unless you're printing out your videos into a flipbook, to stay safe with highly readable thumbnails, use a sans font. Google sans fonts options, and there's loads of free ones you can use. Some popular ones are Roboto, Monster App, and we use one on our thumbnails called Pop-ins. I actually rebranded our entire business based on our YouTube thumbnails because sometimes businesses want to keep their thumbnails branded and their branding just doesn't work for grabbing attention like a thumbnail needs to. Number 6, faces versus no faces. YouTube itself reports that thumbnails with faces pulling emotional expressions perform better. Now I like to run with my face because it's way harder to design a thumbnail that is as unique as a face, and I'm trying to build up interest in this face that I spoke about last time. The thing is, if you don't appear in your content and you don't want to be on camera, it might not work for you, but don't panic. If that's the case, then think about what you can do to make your thumbnails instantly recognizable in the same way a face might be able to do that. And that would mean to build up a thumbnail style that over time has this recognition. So you could use the same colors or fonts, or it could just simply come down to the way you color correct photos. Like Peter McKinnon doesn't always appear on his, and you can tell a mile off it's one of his videos from his image because of the way it's shot and edited. Number 7, keep it simple. Design is hard. The first thing we all tend to do when trying to design something is to add lots to an image, because it feels like design is about adding things. But really, in most cases, especially in thumbnails, design is about making sure the most important thing, the thing that your potential viewer's brain will recognize in an instant, stands out fast. And simplicity can really help with that. 8, draw the eye. What's important about your image when it comes to appealing to your viewer's interest? Is it the text? Is it the item in the photo? With thumbnails, there should be a hierarchy. Something in the image will be the thing that potential viewers will want to see. So you establish what that is and then make that stick out more. Common ways to make something stick out are by adding a stroke, which is a line around the image like this, or a drop shadow, which creates layers, or a glow, which just makes things glow. The thing is, larger channels with a recognizable creator can use these as a weapon to make photos of themselves stick out. If you're new, then maybe sticking out of a photo more than anything else isn't going to be as powerful in the early days. Unless you are smoking hot, then forget everything I said and just pout. I'm not saying don't feature, just that new viewers might not seek your face. And I see a lot of people using strokes, and it might not be the best solution. But if you don't feature in it, check out this example. Simply by putting the item of importance in the middle and then putting some text behind it draws your eye in. This is one of James Kelly's thumbnails. Go check out his channel. I recently got to see his data and the click-through rate on the homepage for this video was epic. There's a link in the description. Number 9, keep things out of the bottom right corner. Simply because it gets blocked by this little number sometimes if you don't. That was a fast point. I wish they were all that fast. Number 10, tell a story. A before versus after, an action shot from the set, even just an expression can tell a story that works with your title. If you don't use text, story is going to play a big part in your images. And number 11, never ever use the default thumbnail. I have nothing other to say on that. Please never use one of these 3 options. It means YouTube. PewDiePie. Stop telling me I look like him in the comments, because I'm probably older than him, so he looks like me.
To get my YouTube channel monetized, and I realized that I needed to hit those first 1,000 subscribers as well as the 4,000 watch hours. So it ended up taking me until June 9th of 2019 to hit 1,000 subscribers here on YouTube. If you are curious about how you can gain more subscribers or how I went from 0 to 1,000 subscribers on YouTube, you can check out this video right here. But it ended up taking me an additional 20 days to reach my 4,000 watch hours. And honestly, for me, it kind of worked hand in hand. It was like I hit 1,000 subscribers and I was really close to my watch hours, and I was like, you know what? It's gonna take 2 weeks. It'll be a breeze. Well, it ended up taking me almost 3 weeks, and that's totally okay, totally fine. But for me, it almost worked hand in hand. It was like the more subscribers I got, the more watch hours I got. So I was put into review by YouTube on June 29th because I had hit those 2 guidelines. Now, I had done my research and I have seen a lot of people that have gotten approved within a week, have gotten approved within 2 days. And I was like, sweet, I'm gonna get my first YouTube paycheck so quick. I actually put it on my YouTube video calendar and I was like, this is going to be my video when I get my first YouTube paycheck, which is funny because that is the exact date that this video is coming out. So if you believe in manifestation at its finest. Now, I do not obviously have my first YouTube paycheck, but I am officially monetized on YouTube, and it ended up taking me 20 days. So it was from June 29th, 2019 until July 18th, 2019, and last night at 5 p.m. I did end up receiving an email from YouTube that let me know that I was approved. So in case you are curious, at the point of me actually being monetized on YouTube, I had 1,389 subscribers, and within the last 365 days, the last year, I had 277,000 watch minutes, which equates to 4,600 watch hours. So I was a little bit above the guideline that I had to hit in order to be monetized on YouTube. So obviously it took me a year and a half from the start of my YouTube channel to being monetized on YouTube. And I know that that isn't a very, very fast timeline, but I think it is a realistic timeline if you are one of those people that is starting YouTube to make money. It can take a while, it can take months, it can take years. And if you are truly passionate about it, then it will be worth it. But if you are not passionate about YouTube and you're just going at it to make money, it may not end up working out for you guys. So one thing that really helped me out in order to be monetized a little bit faster is that I was actually already a member of Google AdSense. I was already approved. I had ads on my website, so that was already set up and done for me. Now, when I have watched a couple of these videos in the past, I realized that some YouTubers wait to get approved to be monetized on YouTube and then they apply for Google AdSense. And to me, that just slows down the process and that doesn't make any sense. You can actually apply for Google AdSense before you get approved on YouTube. So as you can see in this screenshot right here, my Google AdSense and everything was set up. I was just waiting to hit my numbers so that it could be put under review. So I would get that done as soon as possible because in order to get approved for Google AdSense, you need to verify that you are a real person. So once you apply, they are going to actually send something to your house, and that is typically the piece of paper that everyone holds up in there. My first YouTube paycheck video, that is actually just a verification code that they mail to your house to make sure that you are a legitimate person. So once you get that in the mail, then you have to type that into Google AdSense. Then they have to check your bank information. So they need to make sure that your bank account is actually your bank account. I'm telling you, they run a pretty tight ship, but it's good. So they're gonna ask you to give them your bank account information, which is where they are going to directly deposit all of your income into your bank account. So once you type in that information, they're gonna put pennies, like 5 cents, 13 cents, into your bank account, and you need to verify your account by then going back to Google AdSense and typing in that money and making sure that it matches up. Then you need to also enter your tax information. So if you are under 18, there are different guidelines that you need to follow, but if you are over 18, you just need to enter your tax information and you should be good to go with Google AdSense. But since there is that whole process, getting approved for Google AdSense can take a couple of weeks. Now, I did it in 2017, so I honestly don't remember how long it took me. I think it took me maybe 3 weeks, maybe 4 weeks. It took a decent amount of time for me to actually get the little piece of paper in the mail, but I'm not sure if the process has sped up a little bit since then. I just know that the process is still the exact same. So you can speed up the process a little bit by already applying to Google AdSense and getting that out of the way. But besides that, you need to hit those subscribers and you need to hit those watch hours. So when it comes to your subscribers, you want to make sure that you are encouraging people to subscribe to your YouTube channel. If you are really struggling to get subscribers and you look at your analytics and you see that a lot of people watching your videos aren't subscribers, you need to encourage them to subscribe to your channel. So if you are not subscribed to my channel yet, hey guys, subscribe to my channel down below and make sure you like this video while you are down there because it really does help to support me. So make sure that you are encouraging people to subscribe to your channel as well as watch your videos the whole way through. Now, along with this, you want to make sure that your videos are long enough so that you can hit that watch time faster. If you are creating 3-minute long videos, it is going to take you a long time to hit those 4,000 watch hours. Guys, those are hours, not minutes. So one of the things that I started doing, I started creating longer videos, and there were a couple of reasons to this, but the one reason was that the longer the videos, I ended up getting more watch minutes, which ended up turning into more watch hours. So try to shoot for 10 minutes or longer in videos, and I'll explain why in a little bit. Now, while I was waiting for my YouTube channel to be monetized, it's not like I was sitting around just twiddling my thumbs. There were some things that I was doing behind the scenes to make sure that my account was set up for success. And the very first thing was setting my monetization settings. So if you do not have your monetization settings already set up, I would go ahead and do this now so that once you are approved, it's done for you and YouTube puts ads on your video. So you get to decide if you want ads placed at the beginning of your video, during the middle of your video, or at the end of your video, or maybe even all three. You get to select that. You also get to decide what kind of ads you want to appear in your videos. So if you only want the small overlay ones to appear at the very bottom of your videos, you can select only those ads. But my thing is, you're not going to be making as much money if you only select one option when it comes to the ads. So for me, I selected 3 different options, the options that I see the most when it comes to the other creators that I watch. For some reason, I don't see a lot of creators using the ones that appear in the side here. I don't even know if I've ever seen those before, so I personally did not select that. That was my own choice. The next thing I did, I started creating longer videos. And I don't even know if you guys noticed this, but I tried to make all of my videos 10 minutes or longer. And there were a few reasons for this, but one of the reasons was that videos longer than 10 minutes tend to make more money because they can have ads that are in the middle of the video. So if you have a video that's only 9 minutes and 50 seconds, you're not allowed to have ads included in the middle of your video, which means that you may only have one ad on that video, the one at the very beginning, and that's not going to make you as much money as a video that includes more ads. So I started creating videos that were longer than 10 minutes so that once I was monetized, I could put more ads on those videos. I'm just being honest with you guys. But there were a few other reasons as to why I created longer videos as well. Like I already said, the longer your video, probably the faster you're going to hit your watch hours. So if you think about it, you need 4,000 watch hours to be under review by YouTube. That equates to 240,000 watch minutes. 240,000 minutes, guys. That is a long time. But if you are creating 10-minute videos, and let's say that people are watching your videos the whole entire way through, which is impossible. Not everyone is going to watch your video the whole way through. But if they did, that would mean that you would only need 24,000 views. Now that is still a ton of views, and if you think about it, a lot of people are going to drop off in your video before even halfway through, before hitting that 5-minute mark, so you're actually going to need a lot more views. But let's say if people were watching your video the whole entire way through and you created 10-minute long videos, you would only need 24,000 views. Compared to if you're creating videos that are only 3 minutes long, you are going to need 80,000 views. 80,000 views compared to 24,000 views. There's a big difference there. So by creating longer videos, you're more likely to hit your watch hours a bit faster. And one of the other reasons why I decided to create longer videos was that YouTube favors them. Honestly, YouTube likes videos that are longer. They are promoting more 1 hour long videos because YouTube is becoming a platform that is taking over TV. Instead of people watching TV, they're watching YouTube videos. And if that's what people are liking, YouTube's going to try to keep them on there for longer. And just like I mentioned, 10-minute long videos can have more ads on them, which is making more money for you, which is making more money for YouTube. And the more money YouTube is making, the better in their eyes. So obviously they're going to promote videos that are going to make them more money.
Totally fine. And when you're doing YouTube casually, basically you're just not being consistent. You're uploading when you feel like it. You're like, you know, maybe upload a video this week and then maybe 3 weeks from now and then maybe a month from now. Then you take a break for a few months because life gets in the way and then you upload another video. This is a casual relationship. You cannot expect to get any growth on YouTube when you are just in a casual relationship, just like you can't expect an actual relationship to grow while it is a casual relationship. This is a purely for fun thing, just for funsies. And it's all good. And the mistake we see is people who have not yet committed to YouTube who are expecting some level of growth. Like, oh, in the last 6 months, I uploaded 3 videos randomly, and they were about random topics, and my channel's not growing. Yes, of course your channel is not growing because you've decided you're in a casual relationship with YouTube and you cannot expect any growth when you're in that mode. So that's being in a casual relationship, but you might, over time, decide you want to make it more serious, or you might immediately decide, you know what, YouTube is the one, and I'm willing to turn this into a serious relationship. I'm willing to devote 5, 10, 15 hours per week. I'm willing to publish videos consistently. If you then join the serious relationship stage with YouTube, I'm really stretching this analogy, now you have progressed to the get good stage. So in my book, generally for most people, if you want to go from get going to get good, and you want to do this more than just for fun, you want to do it seriously, you need to make that commitment. And within choice number 1, you need to decide, I'm going to commit to YouTube and I'm going to take it seriously. If you don't want to take it seriously, it's all good. You don't need to worry about it. But then, you know, we start to get into interesting territories when it comes to level 2, which is get good. All right, now we are at get good, which is level 2 of being a YouTuber. And the objective in level 2 is to get good at making videos. It's to make our videos better. Again, we cannot expect any growth on YouTube when our videos are absolutely crap, which is what they're going to be when we're in level 1 and when we don't yet know how to make videos, unless you are already a professional videographer or a professional filmmaker like Matt Diavello or Peter McKinnon or people like that. For most of us, we are learning filming and editing and cameras and lighting and all audio and all this stuff. We're learning it from scratch, and therefore the objective of level 2 is to get good. And broadly, there are 2 ways of getting good. The first one is quantity, and then the second one is quality. And my gambit is going to be most people should start with quantity. We need to make lots of videos. The more videos we make, the better we are going to naturally get at making videos. And then the more videos we make, and the more we can think of like 1% improvements to those videos over time, the more we're going to get to a point where we make actually quality videos. And you might have heard the story, you know, the parable of the pottery class, where there was this guy who's running a pottery class, and he split his class into 2 groups. One group needed to make 1 pot every day for 30 days, and so they made 30 pots by the end of it. And the other group, the other half of the class, just needed to make one pot over the 30-day period. So at the end of the 30 days, they just made one pot and they put all their efforts into one pot. So that's like, there's like a quantity group and then there was a quality group. And at the end of the 30 days, there was a panel of judges and they judged where the best pots were. And all of the best pots came from the quantity group. It came from the group that was making 30 pots in 30 days, rather than the group that spent absolutely ages, 30 days on a single pot. None of them had a pot that was any good. And it's basically the same vibe when it comes to YouTube videos. Quantity has a quality all on its own. The more videos you make, and you think about these little marginal improvements over time, the better you get at making videos. There's that really cool graph in Atomic Habits that shows that, 1% improvement over a year, every day, compounds. So like 1 times 1.01 to the power of 365. And then you get a 37 times improvement. So just by making your videos just a little bit better each time, thinking, you know what, let me try out this new editing trick. Let me try out these new titles, these new transitions, this new background music. Let me change the way I approach talking to the camera. Let me try and be a little bit more engaging. Let me use my hands. Let me vary the pitch of my voice. Let me change up the way that I kind of add a joke. Let me add some equipment in the background. Let me drink some water while I'm doing it because it makes me more comfortable filming videos. We're applying these minor modifications over time, but crucially, we're not trying to do them all at once. Each time we make a video, we're just improving something small about the video so that over time, as we make more videos, and I think this video's, for me, this was about 50 videos. So it was like 30 videos in Get Going, 50 videos in Get Good, and I think for me, by video number 80, I was able to make good videos. At this point, we've got a few things. So firstly, like, what does it actually mean? And there's sort of two ways of thinking about this. There's the standard stuff. So there's, title, there's thumbnail, there's hook, there's like personality, there's like camera presence, there's editing, there's music, there's sound design. And then there's a bunch of stuff like, 9 writing, 10 structure, 11 branding, and a bunch of stuff that I'm probably forgetting. But basically, again, the message here is that this is not easy stuff. There are whole university degrees and diploma programs devoted to each of these things. Maybe not titles and thumbnails, but you can literally get a 3-year university degree in just being a videographer, in just being a lighting person, in just being an audio engineer, in just being a public speaker. And yet, as YouTubers, we have to layer all those things, and this is hard. This is not going to be an easy thing. It's really fun, and it's a really cool skill to improve over time, and getting good at making videos gives you tons and tons of skills that makes you so much more marketable in the job world, but also levels up your own personal skills, gives you the ability to make cool stuff further down the line. But again, this is hard. It takes a large amount of time, and the mistake that we see beginners make, even intermediate YouTubers that are is that they try and do everything at the same time, and they don't recognize that it does take a large amount of quantity generally to get to a point where your videos are high quality. Again, caveat, unless you already know all this stuff and you're already a professional filmmaker. So those are the things that make up what makes like a quote good video. But then how else do we define what is good in terms of videos? And broadly, there's like an intrinsic version of good, and there's an extrinsic version of good. Now, the intrinsic version of good is the internal compass that we have on, are my videos good? Like I said, it took me about 80 videos, where I was probably around 2,000 subscribers by video number 80. It took me about 80 videos for me to think, you know what, actually my videos are pretty good. And I think the intrinsic one is quite important. And the way I think about it is, do your videos pass the cringe test? And the cringe test is that if someone came up to you, like a friend or family member or someone on the street, God forbid, and said, hey, I really liked, I watched one of your videos the other day, or, oh, haha, I can't believe you started a YouTube channel, I watched one of your videos. How much would you cringe? If you would cringe at that, it means that your videos are probably not very good. Whereas if you'd feel like, oh, it's not too bad, I don't feel too cringy about that, it means your videos have passed the cringe test and now they're at least internally good enough in your mind. And to be honest, like over probably 95% of people who start YouTube, I'm making that number up, but it seems accurate. 95% of people who start YouTube never get to the point where they think internally that their videos are good enough, probably because A, they're not focusing on quantity, and they're not, crucially doing that step of 1% improvements over a large period of time to get to quality. But at some point, your videos will pass the cringe test, and internally you'll feel proud of the video, and you'll think, you know what, this video is actually pretty reasonable. But obviously, it's not good enough to just make videos that are good in our own eyes. Ideally, we want them to be good in the audience's eyes as well. This is a bit trickier because this is now where we're setting goals that are outside our own control. So I don't really like thinking about this too hard, but generally we know when our videos are extrinsically good enough when we start to see our channel and our videos getting a little bit of traction. So what are the things that make for a good video? Really, it's just two things: that people click on them and then people watch them. That's it. That's literally all it takes to make a good video, and that is the billion-dollar formula of being a YouTuber. If you can get people to click on your video and you can get people to watch your video, you are absolutely sailing, and you would be a billionaire thanks to YouTube. And that is the thing that all YouTubers ultimately are struggling with. How do I get more people to click, and how do I get more people to watch? Now, thankfully, we do have metrics for this. Click is our thumbnail click-through rate, which YouTube Analytics tells us. Watch is our kind of watch time and retention. But to be honest, when your channel is small, there's not a lot you can do with the data because you just don't have enough numbers for it to be statistically relevant and useful data. The other thing you can look at is engagement, so comments. And generally, you'll know when you start sort of getting to the point where your videos are actually good, i.e. useful or interesting or entertaining or inspiring or engaging to someone else. When you start seeing comments that, oh, I really like this video, or this video really helped me, or wow, that was such a funny video, that was so insightful, that was so informative. When you start getting those sorts of comments is when you, again, you have this other barometer of, you know, someone else other than me thinks my videos are also good. But to be honest, at this point, I wouldn't really focus too much on the extrinsic metrics. They are there, and you can spend maybe 5% of your time optimizing the strategy and thinking about titles and thumbnails and market research and stuff. But really, I think for most people, our main objective, and certainly my main objective when I started the YouTube channel, was get to a point where I'm just making lots of videos, quantity. I'm not thinking too hard about like, what do I make videos about? And like trying to hold myself back. I'm committing to 1 or 2 videos per week, which worked for me. Maybe your schedule will be different, but you do need to commit to some level of consistency because this is a serious relationship, not a casual one. You're doing your 1% improvements, and then you're making your videos slightly better over time with all these things: title, thumbnail, hook, personality, camera presence, editing, music, sound design, writing, structure, branding, to get to the point where your videos now pass the cringe test, and you don't cringe really hard anytime someone says, I watched your video, because now you're internally thinking, you know what, this video is actually pretty reasonable. And then what I would suggest, going back to our 3-part model, at this point, once you have passed the cringe test, at this point we are now making choice number 2. Now this is where it starts to get fun. So fun that I've even switched my color of pen. Choice number 2. So while choice number 1 was casual versus serious relationship, or kind of breakup was a third option. Choice number 2 is the choice between, is this a hobby or is this a business? Yes, that's the gambit we're going to go for. So, get going, level 1, get good, level 2. And before we get to level 3, we have choice number 2, which in fairness, it's like a spectrum. And it's a spectrum of, am I treating YouTube like a hobby, or am I treating YouTube like a business? And different people are going to be at different levels of it. To be honest, I treat YouTube somewhere here. It's like very much on the business end, but it's still a little bit like a hobby because I still want to have fun with it. But to be honest, I treat YouTube like a business. I know a bunch of people who treat YouTube as a hobby, and that's totally okay. But when you're treating it like a business, what I mean is that you are trying to make money from it. When you're treating it like a hobby, you're trying to have fun. So again, I know this is not like a dichotomy, but it's like, what are you focusing on? Money or like value to the audience, etc. In a way, treating something like a business means it's sort of focused on others, and treating something like a hobby is more like focused on yourself. And again, I'm not saying you're selfish for having a hobby. You know, I play the guitar as a hobby. I play the piano as a hobby. It's a hobby I do for myself. It's a hobby I do for fun. I'm not treating it like a business. I don't want to monetize my passion by monetizing the ability to play the guitar. I don't want to, right now, release my own songs. I don't want to do covers. I don't want to play in a pub. I don't want to do busking for the sake of money. I want to do all this stuff for fun because it like fulfills and enriches my life as a person. And if you want to do YouTube for fun, that's totally fine. Absolutely nothing wrong with that. But then you don't really need to worry about level 3, because level 3 is about getting smart and is about treating YouTube more like a business. Now, if you treat YouTube like a business, you can still have fun. Like, I'm not saying the fun is completely divorced from the business side, but there is a little bit of a danger, because when you start making something that you find fun into a business, into work, it actually can sometimes take the fun away from it. Like, I really enjoyed making YouTube videos when I was working as a doctor because it was like my escape from that. And even though I was trying to make money from it, it was still fun because I didn't need it to make money. Now these days, where my job is making YouTube videos, sometimes, I'll be honest, sometimes I wake up in the morning and I think, oh, I don't want to make a YouTube video today. Then I get into it and it becomes fun, and you know, I've now got a team and we've got the studio, we've got the office, it's quite nice, it's good vibes. And for me, treating it like a business has in fact made it more fun, but it does kind of take a little bit of the joy out of the craft when you have to make money from it. So again, absolutely nothing wrong with treating YouTube like a hobby, but I think we want to be honest with ourselves. Like, if you're treating it like a hobby, if I'm treating guitar like a hobby, I wouldn't beat myself up that, oh, I played a song the other day and it wasn't very good. If I'm treating playing the piano or singing like a hobby, I wouldn't beat myself up if I'm like, why haven't I made $1 million a year from singing yet? I'm treating it like a hobby. It's a hobby. Whereas if I have a business, now I can start to have goals that are a bit more sort of external facing, a bit more thinking about what would an audience actually want, and how can I treat this YouTube channel a little bit more like a business. And that is where we get to level 3, which is get smart. And this is the level that people are at when they decide that they want to move a little bit more towards the business end of the spectrum. And if it's a hobby, you don't need to worry about this stuff. But if it's a business, then here are some things that we can start to think about. So let's go back to our basic model, just to make sure we're on the same page. Level 1 was get going. We started making our videos. For me, this was about 30 videos. Level 2 is getting good, where we're making a bunch of videos, we're committing to it, doing it consistently because we're in a serious relationship with YouTube, and we're improving slowly over time to get to the point where we pass the cringe test, and that's when we know that internally our videos are now good. And now choice number 2 is, do we want to treat it like a business or do we want to treat it like a hobby? And if we want to treat it as a business, we now go into get smart territory, where we can now start thinking, okay, I'm being a creator, I'm having fun, I'm doing this kind of as a hobby, but I also do want to take it seriously. I want to think of it like a business. Now, if you were running a business, let's say you wanted to open up a shop, a supermarket, or like a local corner shop, you wouldn't be able to just be like, you know what, I want to sell only the products that I like. I don't want to pander to the audience. I don't care who comes in through the door. I don't care about the demographics of this local area. It should be about me. I should sell the products I want to make. If you're treating things like a business, you're not going to succeed if you don't care about your audience, if you don't care about your market, if you don't care about what people actually want. You can do that as a hobby, which is why, you know, we use this thing of like, hobbies are focused on yourself and what you want to do. Business is more focused on others and what other people would find useful. So in a way, it's like what I want / love. And a business is more like what my audience wants. Now again, this is not a dichotomy. Like in an ideal world, we would have this kind of Venn diagram about like things I love and things my audience wants. And preferably also things I can make money from. And then the overlap of this would be our niche, would be the area that we're making videos. That would be in an ideal world. But this is all the stuff we have to start thinking about when it comes to getting smart. Now, because I'm a fan of frameworks, there are 3 parts to getting smart, again, in my humble opinion. And those 3 are, number 1, workflow, number 2, cash flow, and number 3, outflow. And this is the model for the part-time creatorpreneur, which is an online course that I'm working on. More details on that in a few weeks, months, whatever. But within workflow, we have strategize and systemize. Within cash flow, we have value and we have products. And within outflow, basically we have hiring and we have management. MX is medical terminology for management. I'm just gonna stick that there because it doesn't fit on this piece of paper. Now, I'm not gonna focus too much on the cash flow and outflow parts because sort of those parts come later, but let's talk a little bit broadly about workflow. So you're in this getting smart category. You've decided you're at level 3 of being a YouTuber. You now know at this point how to make good videos, at least internally. And now we've decided we're going to think of being a YouTuber a little bit more systematically. We're going to treat it a little bit more like a business, and therefore we need to strategize and systemize. And the cool thing here is that there are so many concepts that we can learn from the world of business that we can then apply to our creative side hustle. And those are the concepts that I've sort of learned over the last 5 years that I've applied to my business and also helped apply to a bunch of creators who've gone through our YouTuber Academy. Again, more details in the video description if you want to check it out. And this is the stuff that I've gotten from reading books like marketing books, MBA books, like executive leadership books, management books, like culture books, The Great CEO Within, The Millionaire Fast Lane, Traction, and a bunch of other books that I've read on Kindle or listened to on Audible that we don't have lying around in the studio. Again, I'm not saying you have to do this, I'm not saying a YouTuber needs to read business books to become successful, but what I am saying is that if you decide consciously that you want to treat your creative side hustle as more of a business, there is a nice solid library. You can stand on the shoulders of giants and you can figure out what businesses have been figuring out for like decades, if not hundreds of years, and you can apply those to the thing that we're doing here on YouTube. So, when it comes to strategize, there are a few different things. There is, firstly, goals. There's niche. There's target audience. There's competitor analysis, although we don't think of our competitors as competitors, we think of them as colleagues. There's your competitive advantage, there's planning, and there's pivoting. And this is basically the syllabus of our new part-time creatorpreneur course, which is coming up. There'll be a link in the video description if you want to sign up to the mailing list or the waiting list or whatever to get some kind of discount on it, but whatever. Basically, yeah, this is the sort of stuff that we have to start thinking about when we start thinking of our channel as a business. Like goals. What are the actual goals? Like, what do you want from this? What does your dream YouTube channel look like three years from now? What does it look like 1 year from now? And you know, there is that whole, there's a really good phrase, which is that plans are useless, but planning is indispensable. So like, probably my goals for my YouTube channel 3 years ago were very different to what it currently looks like. But the fact that I was thinking slightly further ahead, that I was planning ahead, I was thinking like, how can I evolve my content over time, recognizing that I'm gonna be sort of aged out of the student market very, very soon once I graduate university a few years ago. Therefore, how can I transition my content strategy to hopefully remain somewhat relevant over time? All of these are things that I was thinking before as I realized that, you know what, I need to start treating my YouTube channel as a little bit more of a business. We come to the idea of niche and the idea of target audience. This becomes really, really important when we're thinking as a business. And all YouTubers, especially like all the YouTubers we've seen in our course, YouTuber Academy, basically ask this question of how do I know what my niche is? How do I know what the hell to actually make videos about? This never gets easy. It's never like abundantly obvious what you should make videos about. You always think, but I'm a multifaceted person and I have all these different interests. Like, can't I just make a personality channel? And yeah, you can. But like, you know, we want to be thinking a little bit more systematically about what is our niche, what's our target audience, what are the things that I personally like and enjoy, what are the things that I'm personally good at, what are the areas in which I have a potential unfair advantage, and then once I figure that out, what is the kind of audience that I want to target, what are the kind of problems that they're having in their life, and how could I potentially bridge that gap, that bridge of transformation to solve problems for them? Because like we said in, you know, The Choice, when you start, if you're thinking like a hobby, it's totally okay to just think about yourself, like what is the content I want to make, because it's an artistic expression of myself. But when you start thinking like a business, you want to think, what is the sort of content that my target audience would want? And ideally, we want to balance this with the stuff that we want to make. Because generally, on YouTube, if you follow my channel for a while, you can kind of tell the videos I'm excited about. I'm freaking excited about this video because I freaking love talking about the topic. Versus sometimes we do release videos that I'm not fully excited about. And people can tell, and it's just not nice making videos that you don't like. So again, ideally, we want that Venn diagram overlap of stuff that me and stuff that them. Them meaning the audience, you know, we want it to overlap as much as we possibly can. Then part of strategy is doing competitor analysis. It's becoming an expert in your space. It's knowing, okay, I want to talk about personal development. Therefore, I'm going to watch hundreds of hours of content from all of the channels in the space that are also doing personal development content. I'm going to figure out how they grew. I'm going to figure out their content strategy. What are they doing well? What are the areas that they can be improving in? What are the interesting areas in which I can possibly stand out? Because as Naval Ravikant famously says, and this is an amazing book, by the way, The Almanac of Naval Ravikant, you can escape competition through authenticity. So this isn't about treating our fellow YouTube colleagues as competitors, because they're not really. In a way, YouTube is nice because the rising tide lifts all the boats. This is instead about thinking of them as colleagues. But even so, we still want to understand what's going on in the space. Like, what is the difference between my channel and Matt Diavella's, or my channel and Thomas Franks, and Nathaniel Drew, and Joey Schweitzer, and like Elizabeth Phillips, and these other people who are in this like productivity type space? And, you know, what are the people who are like adjacent to it as well? You know, people like, you know, podcasts like School of Greatness or Impact Theory or Diary of a CEO or the Tim Ferriss Show or Lex Friedman. What are these guys all doing? What are they doing well? And what are the areas in which I can stand out and be a little bit different? Not necessarily trying to be better, because I think I'm not generally a fan of competition and trying to be better than our fellow man, but instead thinking more in terms of how can I be different? How can I kind of apply my own authentic self and create my content, create my channel in a way that just is slightly different from all these other people out there. Then we can think in terms of competitive advantages. What are the unfair advantages I have that will allow me to potentially stand out in this space? When I started my YouTube channel, my unfair advantage was that I was a Cambridge medical student creating videos for people who wanted to become Cambridge medical students. I did not suddenly decide I want to do makeup tutorials. I knew nothing about makeup. I did not decide I wanted to get into guitar or singing tutorials. I did not decide I wanted to review tech, because I have no unfair advantages in those spaces. And so really, when it comes to growing on YouTube, we need to be honest about why is our channel going to stand out? Is the unfair advantage that you've got, is your competitive edge, is your alpha, is your advantage going to be just the fact that you're putting in way more hours than anyone else? Okay, fair enough. But if there are other kind of levers that you can pull for your own unfair advantages, then that just makes it a lot easier to develop a strategy that actually tactically helps you grow. Once we're at this point, we also want to start thinking about planning, like, you know, quarterly planning and yearly planning. And this book, Traction by Gino Wickman, is absolutely fantastic for this. When I first discovered this stuff, it was a few years ago when I ran into a business coach who happened to recognize me because he saw my videos. And one of the first things he did with me was we came up with like a quarterly plan. and I'd never done quarterly planning before, but suddenly doing a quarterly plan completely changed the game for my channel because it just gave us a plan. And I just never realized, oh shit, you should probably have a plan if you want to take something seriously as a business. And then there's pivoting, which is when how do you know when stuff is failing? How do you know if stuff's not working? Trying out new content ideas, being a bit experimental with some of the content, but ultimately figuring out what direction you want to go based on the data, based on the response, based on how you personally feel about the videos. Once we have figured out our strategy, our next job is to try and systemize. And here, I don't have a physical copy of this. There's an amazing book, a book that completely changed my life when I read it in 2019 called The E-Myth Revisited by Michael Gerber, which is 100% required reading for anyone who is at level 3 of their YouTube channel, where you already know how to make good videos, but now you want to grow and you want to do it sustainably and you want to have fun along the way, you want to do it systematically and you want to treat it like a business. You've got to read The E-Myth Revisited, and a bunch more stuff in systemizing about how to create systems and stuff, how to create leverage, how to kind of refactor, how to sort of figure out your workflow and then like take bits of the workflow and make them a bit more efficient and a bit more fun. And again, this is all the stuff that we're going to go over on the Creatorpreneur course. I'm going to be making more videos about it here on this channel. If you don't want to take the course, it's totally fine. Further, like over time. But to be honest, at this level, most people are not at this level.
Setup. So go and log into your YouTube channel and open up the studio dashboard area. Down on the left hand side, you'll see customization, and then you want to come up to branding. Now, first off in here, you want to make sure that you have a profile picture added. So for us with our channel, we just use a photo of me, but it could also be a company logo or a channel logo, depending on what you're after. Next, you want to make sure you've got a banner image added as well. This is the image that goes at the top of your YouTube channel page. So this is a great opportunity for you to get creative and to create something that really stands out, but also lets people know what your channel is about. Now we have a full step-by-step tutorial that I'll link up in the cards and in the description, taking you through step-by-step creating your own banner image. And you also want to add a video watermark. This is a little clickable image that appears on top of your videos that people can click on to subscribe to your channel. And again, I'll put a link down in the description to a tutorial that we created taking you through creating your video watermark image. Once you've checked you've got those 3 things sorted, you want to come across to the basic info tab at the top, and you want to make sure that you've got a channel description entered. This is where you can type in a few sentences or paragraphs about what your channel is about and the types of content that you're going to be releasing on there. And this text will show up on your YouTube channel under the About section. If you keep scrolling down, you can also add in links to your YouTube channel as well. So you could be linking off to your website, your other social media profiles, or even any lead magnets or free PDF downloads or guides and things that you've got. You can link those in here as well. From there, you can set how many of those links will actually be shown at the top of your YouTube channel page. So you can see we've currently got 5 selected. And I'd also recommend you adding in an email address down the bottom under contact info so that people can contact you if they want to work with you or collaborate. The other thing you'll want to check is that you've verified your YouTube channel so that you've unlocked access to all the features. So you want to come down the bottom left hand corner to settings, then over to channel, and then feature eligibility. So if you're seeing the option there to verify your channel, then you will need to do it either over the phone or via a text message to unlock all of the extra features. So all of that was number 1, making sure your channel is set up correctly. Number 2 is to research before you create your content. This is one of the biggest mistakes we see a lot of people make, and we made this mistake when we first started out and when our channel wasn't growing. So doing this topic or keyword research is going to allow you to be really strategic with the content that you're creating. It's going to allow you to know that there is demand and know that people actually want the content that you're going to create before you create it, saving you a ton of wasted time on creating stuff that no one can find or that no one actually wants. But doing this research is also going to allow you to connect and engage with your viewers on a deeper level, because you'll have further insights into what level they're at. Are they absolute beginner? Are they further advanced? And what do they actually need and want from your content? So then when you go to film your video, you know exactly who it is you're speaking to and at what level, making it a really powerful video for your viewers watching. Now, a great place to start with research is just over on YouTube itself. You want to go up to the search bar at the top, and you can start typing in a couple of different words related to your topic or niche and just see what YouTube is auto suggesting. These auto suggestions aren't just random suggestions. These are things that people have and are actually searching for, showing you that people want this stuff and that there is demand for this content. Now you can take this one step further by using an underscore or the little line across the bottom, and this is essentially treated as a wild card or a fill in the blank. So in this example here, we've got how to underscore healthy. And the suggestions now that are coming up from YouTube are how to get healthy hair, how to make healthy pancakes. So you can see it's actually giving us suggestions around those words that we've included. So you can see we're getting all this insights just from YouTube and just by typing in a few words around our topic, around our niche. Now, to help you even further with your keyword research, we've pulled together a free keyword research guide that I'll link at the end of this video. Number 3 is to engage as much as possible. Remember, every viewer on the other end is a real person. The more you can connect and engage with them, the deeper the relationship you'll build with them, the more know, like, and trust you'll build with them, the more they'll want to come back and consume more of your content, the faster your channel will grow. So when you release a new video, your goal should be in that first 24 to 48 hours after to get as many of the right people on your video as possible, but also to engage and interact with them as much as possible as well. Now, I say the right people. I don't mean go and tell your friends and family to come over and watch to help you out to bump up your views. You want the right people that are actually going to be interested in your content and watch it right the way through, and also come back and watch more of your content as well. So this would mean promoting by any means necessary. If you have a following on Facebook, Twitter, or any of these other platforms of the right people that are interested in that topic of the video, then yes, by all means, share it out and try to get them over to watch your video. Having the wrong people come over and watch your video to help you out can actually slow down your channel growth because you're confusing YouTube at that point. You also want to focus on engaging and interacting with your audience the best you can. In your video content, if you're able to ask them to leave a comment down below or encourage them to get involved in the comments or to give the video a thumbs up, all of this can help as well. And then it's your goal again to try and respond to and interact with as many of the good comments as you can. Another great way that you can build that know, like, and trust and that engagement with your viewers is by running a live stream occasionally as well. Don't worry, it's not required, but it definitely can help. Number 4 is thumbnail strategy. This one is super important. You could have the world's best video. If no one clicks it, no one's going to see it. So you need to get their click, which means that you need to have an attractive and engaging and attention-grabbing thumbnail so that it gets clicked. So for us, we use bright colors and graphic elements. We'll use big, bold text. And we usually have my face on there pointing, smiling, or doing something silly. Again, just to grab people's attention. But the best case scenario with your thumbnail images is having people easily being able to know what your video is about just from looking at the thumbnail image without even needing to read the title of the video. Number 5 is to keep people engaged and watching your videos. It's no good to you or to the viewer if someone clicks on your video and then they leave right away. That's a bad signal and YouTube's going to stop promoting and pushing your content. So you want to be hooking your viewers into your video immediately, letting them know that they're in the right place, letting them know that you're actually going to cover off on the topic or to entertain them or to do what you said you were going to do in the title and in the thumbnail of your video. So don't drag out your video intro, make it short, sharp, punchy, and let people know they're in the right place. Now, to help you with your video structure, we've got another video which I'll link in the description taking you through a framework that you can use for each one of your videos and that we use for ours to help keep people engaged to the end. Number 6 is to utilize playlists. Playlists are an amazing tool on YouTube that will really help you guide the viewer journey and have people watching more of your content. So essentially what a playlist is a group of YouTube videos that you get to specify which videos are in there and what order they're going to play. You can create as many playlists as you like, and each playlist has the potential to rank and show up on YouTube as if it was its own dedicated piece of content. So just like a regular video, a playlist can have a title or a name, and it can also have a description where you're able to put in some keywords and key phrases to help people find and consume that content. You can also use playlists on your YouTube channel page to help group and separate different types of content that you might have on your channel. Number 7 is to think of the viewer journey. We want to be mindful that we are creating a good experience with our content for the viewer and for YouTube. So one of the things that YouTube is looking at is how long a viewer stays on the platform, how long their YouTube session goes for. And if we can help the viewer stay on the platform longer by them watching one of our videos and then flowing through and watching other videos afterwards, that is a good indicator to YouTube that we have kept a session going and that we're not a session killer. No one wants to be a session killer. If people are leaving your videos and leaving YouTube altogether, that is a bad indicator to YouTube, and YouTube's probably going to stop promoting that video and pushing that video out if every time people watch it, they leave YouTube and don't come back. So what we want to do here is take a step back and we want to consider what is the next best video for our viewers after they have watched one of our videos. So you're going to look at the individual topic. If I was watching this specific video on this topic, what is the next best video for me? And if you don't have that next best video on your channel, then link them off to another channel that does. This is going to create ties between your content and that other channel's content. I mean, you could do it to a much bigger channel, especially if the audience overlap is there. This is going to associate your channel viewers with their channel viewers, and you're much more likely to show up in suggested and recommended off the back of them. But you're able to also keep that viewer happy, keep that viewer having a good experience. So if you don't have the next best video for your viewer, then link off to a channel that does. You can always come back later and swap it out for yours, when you've got yours made. Number 8 is to build an email list. This is something that's not only going to help you grow your YouTube channel, it's also going to help you build that know, like, and trust, and deepen that relationship and deepen that conversation with your most loyal fans and followers. But it's also something that can help you build your online business and bring in new revenue streams as well. Building an email list is so powerful because it's your direct line of communication to your most loyal people, the people that are choosing and wanting to hear more from you. And at any given moment, you can directly communicate with them without any algorithm or any notification system stopping that communication. Now, if you want to find out more about growing your email list and you want to know how to do it with YouTube and how to use it to grow your YouTube channel, then check out the video linked in the description below. Number 9 is to implement, learn, tweak, and evolve and repeat. By adopting a growth mindset, you're going to have success on YouTube much faster. YouTube is not an overnight thing. YouTube is the long game. So by taking the approach of what can I improve on every single time, that's going to stack up. That 1% improvement on each little task over time is going to add up, and you will see results, you will see growth much, much faster. So always push to be implementing, learning, tweaking, evolving, and then going through it again.